I think so many people are paralyzed with inactivity because they don't know what they want to do. And I'm guessing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing this wasn't like your dream calling in life. It was like, hey, there's an opportunity.
Confucius once said, if you do not economize, you will agonize. So it's very true. People are like, oh, I need to be a business owner. No, you don't need to be a business owner to make money. You just need to make money.
Right.
Becoming a business owner is high risk. You're the last one to get paid, brother. Yeah. Like you're the last. Everybody gets paid here, whether the business works or not. The video editor is still getting paid.
Right.
Everybody's getting paid, but we're not. Yeah. So how can you make money in the beginning? Arbitrage, sales, anything that you can get your hands on.
So you just saw an opportunity, like, hey, I see people doing this. I'm just going to jump in and figure it out.
100%. Just jumped in.
And that's the piece that I want to hit. So many people are paralyzed with fear because they don't know what they want to do. And it's like, just start making money. You don't know what you want to do until you start doing things that you don't like. Last year, I made millions of dollars doing coaching programs, and I decided I didn't like them. But I wouldn't know that until I had done them, right? And so we've changed that. But I think that's a good point. Okay, so keep going. So now you're flipping those things.
But I think one of the important parts of this entire narrative that I want to hone in is that my expenses were so low and my risk wasn't built up with having things, family, bad decisions of the past, whereby it limited the amount of risk or the amount of opportunity that I would pursue. I was only paying $200 to sleep on my brother Nate's couch, right? Like that's what I was paying. I had nothing to lose. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I don't have any of these things.
Right.
So anything that I do is full on business, full on risk, everything all in because I could afford it. And what I think for young people is never put yourself in a situation where you make irreversible decisions. It's one of the most important principles I learned. So from a young age, I never made decisions or took action towards things that I could not reverse, that would fundamentally change my life path. And I think that was my most important lesson. Like having kids out of wedlock at the age of 17.
Right.
That fucks up your life.
Yeah.
Okay, for some people it's an anomaly and they end up being super successful. But for the average individual, that's an irreversible decision. So what do you do with that irreversible decision? You have to deal with it. So my objective was don't make irreversible decisions. Make decisions that if anything happens, you can pivot from.
Right.
So low risk, high reward, low expenses. And then I got a marketing gig. So I started doing marketing ads for Wall Street businesses. So companies in Wall Street, I would do their ads because they weren't running Facebook ads. So I got my first check for about $86,000 for 9 months of work.
Wow.
Running Facebook ads, doubled the company's revenue. I did it for free for 2 months. I was doing outbound because I would get DMs from them on Instagram or LinkedIn messages like, hey, like if you're interested in our products or services, I'm like, this is shit. Let me add some ads to them.
Yeah.
Ran it for 2 months for free. I called them like, hey guys, I want a contract. Like, oh, no. We'll think about it next month. I was being nice. Turned off their ads the next day. Next morning, they called me, hey, can you fly up to New York? Yes.
Yeah.
They gave me my check. And I called my dad and I was like, I made it. And he's like, bro, $80,000, $90,000. That's crazy. Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, but it's not enough. But remember, I was paying $200 a month.
Yeah.
For rent.
So and now, that's US dollars and you're coming from Argentina.
And it's crazy. So now I'm making this money. And I'm like, what can I do with my advertising skills? Because I was still this is a 9-month gig. I don't know if these guys are going to renew. I don't know if they're going to keep on going. Most agency work is quite laborious. These people were calling me. I'm like, let me move this money. Let me try some other things. Let me take my Facebook ad skills. What am I going to do? E-commerce. Figured out the entire ecosystem of e-commerce, drop shipping, now arbitraging physical products, not just digital products. We ended up doing in the span of 3 years, 16 million in revenue, which isn't massive numbers, but it is for teenagers.
Yeah.
And we ended up flipping and putting all our money into crypto, which I know sounds insane, but it only makes sense because crypto is the future. And yeah, we rode the 2020 bull run and we 42x'd our portfolio. So quite fire.
Yeah. I love what you said. I want to break a couple pieces down for the listeners here. So if you look at the world of sports, let's just say you want to be a pro, whatever, baseball player. To think that, hey, I'd love it if the Dodgers would sign me a contract and then I'm going to go learn how to play baseball and I'm going to be a really good baseball player for you. Like, no. You got to do it your whole life.
Yes.
And you have to be good enough that they give you the contract. So what you said was sort of like that. Like you went and learned how to do digital marketing. You went and learned how to build Instagram, social media, flip those. And only once you had learned those skills on your own for free, working for free, spending your own time, effort, labor, then you got good enough to make a little bit of money. Then you went and gave those services to a company for free to prove your net worth. And only once you had proved enough worth, they were willing to pay you for that. sort of like getting a contract from the Dodgers. But people today think that they can just go, hey, will you give me a job to do marketing for you, but you got no marketing skills. And that goes back to the question I had posed earlier about people not wanting to work for free, but we play sports for free. And so it's just this mindset shift that really holds people back. So I kind of wanted to highlight that.
I think to add and to finalize that point is, if you always want to make money, you have to be irreplaceable. If you have to be irreplaceable, and you have to be in high demand. So I made sure that I was irreplaceable. What did I do for this online company? Doubled their online revenue in 2 months.
Yeah.
So now I was irreplaceable and I was in high demand. So now I had the leverage. And I think in business, it's all about leverage. You leverage yourself by becoming better. And people are like, oh, well, they leverage themselves through blackmail or through finessing. No. The ultimate form of leverage is to become so undisputably good that people call you.
Right. You give your services for free until they want to pay you, until they demand to pay you. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so now you put all your money into crypto because you're young and you're low risk and you figure you might as well bet it all. You already said that's kind of how you grew up. And so at this point, you're still young, your expenses are still low. Now you know how to make money, so now your risk tolerance is higher because now you know you can go make more money if you need to, and you don't have the downside risk, so now you throw it into crypto. You time the market cycle pretty good. You 40x, 42x your portfolio. You crush it. Then what?
Sell out of crypto, rotate to tech stocks. It only made sense. Undervalued Meta, undervalued Shopify, which are the only two stocks that I truly knew because I run Facebook ads and I run Shopify. So I understand the Q4 reports of Facebook and I understand the Q4 reports of Shopify. Undervalued.
Right.
Q4, they fucking rip. Their sales through the roof. So in Q1 reporting, every single year, look at the Meta stock.
Yeah.
Every single Q1, it rips through the moon. So I rotated out of crypto, which I felt like it wasn't at the value that it was supposed to represent. I think it was overvalued. I rotated to undervalued assets. This case, Meta, Shopify, Robinhood, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, and my only one that I'm still waiting to play out, which will play out, is PayPal.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook sold off 75%.
Which is ridiculous.
Like, you think it's going to go away? 75%? So like, yeah, what an undervalued stock. I'm curious. So now you've cut your teeth making money, create wealth. So you and I, we actually say the same three things, different words, but create wealth, multiply wealth,
yes,
preserve wealth. And most people don't understand those three. And so your journey was creating wealth. What can I do? Pressure wash basketball courts, flip pizzas. I'm creating wealth. I'm earning wealth. Flipping Instagram accounts, creating wealth. Then you have to go to multiply it. So then you throw it into crypto, you multiply it 40 times, right? And now you have to preserve it. I'm just curious, like, how you think about those three buckets as far as your attention and time focused into that. So how much time do you really think about your growing, creating the wealth through businesses versus like managing it, multiplying that wealth?
So it depends. So on the business side, there's two aspects. One is instant cash flow. So I can do a consulting call for $10,000.
But let's say just like Luke Belmar. So 90% of my time is focused on my business and growing my wealth. And I spend about 5 or 10% of my time with like what my money's doing when I'm not earning it. Or like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I would say the breakdown isn't like a specific breakdown of time. It's more so a breakdown of my life patterns. So the life patterns in the business side, it breaks down to active income, and it breaks like what I have to work for directly versus money that comes in. So I'll create content. Capital Club will continue printing subscriptions. I need to create the content regardless. So that income just comes in. I have my entire team. I have my CEO, Steve Tan. I have my entire organization. There's almost 100 employees inside Capital Club that build, manage that structure. I don't need to be there every single day. I spent the last 4 years building that. So now it's in a place where it can sustain itself simply because I've created the other vehicle of content creation. So content creation fuels this. That's more so like my passive stream of consecutive money. So I'm not really focused on this besides the product, right? Because if it's my vision, I need to ensure that the product sustains itself, and I'm focused on community, retaining people. Then on the active income side, it would be like, I don't do coaching, but if there is a coaching experience, right? So if you do coaching, that's your active income. That would be money you receive right away. I don't do a whole lot of that. I don't focus really on instant money because I've made money. You know, once you scratch that itch of, okay, I don't no longer need to eat, I think people need to change their mindsets from hustler to boss. And I think people start making millions, they don't change their mindset, right? It's the same mindset that they had when they had nothing. You can't have the hungry mindset when you're already full.
Right.
It makes no sense. That becomes gluttony, because now when you have a lot, you have to begin to share, right? And if you want to scale, you need to bring people in. So now my main focus is recruitment, right? So now I focus on looking for talent and looking for opportunities. So now that my main basket, my Nile River, is being nurtured and taken care of, I'm bringing new content, new eyeballs to build out the ecosystem. If I choose to, I can have some sort of active income that requires me to dedicate specific hours, but I don't necessarily like to do that. And most of my time now is focused on looking for new projects, business development, and recruiting top tier talent. Because if you can recruit top tier talent, all you have to do is let them work and get out of their fucking way.
Yeah, like that recruiting talent. We're going to talk about that, but let's just go back to it for a minute. So I often say that the lines between business owner and investor are very blurred. In my career, right when I was out of high school, I started buying bank-owned properties, fixing them and flipping them. And I did over 100 of those properties. Was I a real estate investor, or was my business buying and selling houses? I have $100,000 in my bank account. I could just go buy Bitcoin, or I could hire a new employee to go do business development for me. Am I investing into my business, or am I business? Right. So like the lines are very blurred, and I just want people to get an idea of this because it's something that I see. So I talk about investing, right? I run investment newsletters and things like that. And the majority of people, I would say, come into my universe and they have $1,000 and they want to quit their job and be a full-time investor. And I'm just like, whoa, that's not how it works. Like, Warren Buffett still goes to work every day at a business called Berkshire Hathaway. Ray Dalio still goes to a business, Bridgewater Capital, right? So it's like you need to have the business and then you invest into it.
Yes.
So that's why I was kind of curious what your thoughts were on that. And so, I think about, and Alex Ramosey's talked about the S&P me, right? So it's like I asked my buddy the other day, we were down in Mexico together over New Year's, and I said, if you were going to put $100,000 into the S&P 500, the historical average over the last 60 years is about 7.5% on that. If you put $100,000 in S&P, you make 7.5%. If you put $100,000 into your business to hire a new business development manager, do you think they could bring you back more than $7,000? And he said, yeah, I think so. I'm like, so then why don't you do it? Well, I guess I never thought of it. But the point,
because they don't see the employees as an investment. They only see it as a salary. And when you're paying for an employee, you're investing into them time, energy, a paycheck, attention. So your goal isn't just for them to do the job. My employees, dude, I sit down with them and I tell them, this is how you can scale in the organization. This is your growth path. This is your growth trajectory. I sit down and I have real conversations with them as like, hey, if you work well, this is the future that you can potentially have within the organization. So it's not just, okay, giving them the vision of here's a paycheck, but now adding to it, it's now they're part owners. Now they feel like they're part of the vision. Now they feel like they're part of the mission. And now the focus becomes a little bit different.
Yeah. And to the point that you made earlier, like people, they don't reinvest back into themselves, right? So it's like they were hustling. They made the $1 million or whatever it was, a couple $100,000, whatever that number is for you. But then you don't make the shift to then being an investor in your own business. So I make the $100,000 or the $1 million and then I want to go put it into whatever I'm going to put it into, but then I don't invest back into the business. So then the business doesn't continue to grow, right? Something like that. I think about like the mindset shift, the difference. And actually I was with one of my portfolio companies I was coaching last night, and we were talking about this specifically and how they're going to close on the phone, sell their product. And I said, the difference of a poor mindset and a rich mindset is a poor mindset thinks about the cost and the rich mindset thinks about the value. So would you buy this used iPhone for $5,000? Well, if you only think about how expensive it is, you wouldn't. But if I said, but my Bitcoin wallet's on here with $100,000, do you want to give me $5,000 now, right? And so that's sort of like the mindset shift that people have to go through, like thinking about the value that I'm going to get, not spending my time, investing my time, not spending my money, but investing my money and back into the business for that growth. So I think it's an important point to hit, really create wealth.
And it's understanding that you don't have to make money every single day, every moment of the day to be productive. It only a fool would plant a seed and watch it and be angry and observe it the same day. Be like, grow, motherfucker, grow, motherfucker. No, the world has a natural process. There's an ebb and flow to nature. You are part of nature. You cannot go beyond universal law. There's a time and a season for everything. So there's a time and a season for harvesting, and there's a time and a season for sowing, right? So when are you sowing? If you're sowing, it'll eventually come to you. What people don't seem to understand is the success that you enjoy today isn't from today's actions. It's from the accumulation of all the past seeds. And then people end up losing in the future. Yeah, that's because you slacked off today, because you're focused on the rewards from the past, thinking that you're eating them and indulging on them today, when in fact you're just indulging from past performance. And if you leave idleness in the present moment, your future is going to get fucked.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you continue? And that's the super trap, right? You start accumulating wealth, you start making money, and you start slowing down. slowing down, because your attachment and your value and your perspective of what it means to be high performance or productive is attached to dollars. But there's so many things in life that transcend dollars that you can focus on: your health, your nutrition, your family.